Aloha, happy Friday, and happy close to the holidays Friday. A lot more going on this time of year, and my guests today are here because they have both done something holiday themed that I thought was particularly community minded and sustainable and all things wonderful. My two guests today are women I've known since elementary school. We all went to Aina Elementary, and then we all went to Puno, and then we all went really different places, and we're all back at NIU. So this is the first time that I can think of that all three of us really sat down and had a chat. So this is one of the really great things about Think Tech Hawaii, bringing people together and sharing in community. So Lisa Kimsey and Laura Margulies are the guests, and Lisa Kimsey is the owner and founder of Smarty Dance Hawaii. It's her newest creation. She's had a few different ones over the years. And Laura Margulies is the tech entrepreneur and artist, and she's been able to do something really wonderful, which is do real art and handmade art, and use technology appropriately, or just use technology in a way that she's still able to do hand art, and it's sustainable because she's doing holiday greetings and all kinds of greetings with this animation process. So Laura, hi.
Hi.
Hi. The girls from the hood,
Well,
here we are.
That's amazing.
So Laura, after high school, you went off to college and studied filmmaking, right?
Right, I studied dance, which is what we all have in common, I think.
Yeah.
And I also did art. And eventually, after doing a little bit of this and a little of that, I realized that I wanted to combine dance and filmmaking. And sort of that led me to animation. Because I could draw movement. So yeah, I ended up studying animation at NYU.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So
Lisa, Lisa, where did you go after high school?
Well, after high school, I went to the mainland to become a dancer, and so I studied in LA for a while, and then life took another turn. I ended up in Wisconsin, of all places, and after about 10 years on the mainland, came back to Hawaii. Decided maybe it's time to get a degree and grow up a little bit, did that. But I'd always wanted to have a dance school and had worked at several different places, so I decided after I got my degree here to open up a dance school here. That eventually became the Movement Center, which is still a really awesome performing arts school located in Kaimuki.
Right. Okay. So, Laura, how long have you been doing the Leimations?
Leimation.com has only been around since 2013. But I've been animating for 30 years.
Okay.
We're not that old. That's not possible.
Wait a minute. Don't say that.
I actually did my first animation at UH, at the University of Hawaii. Yeah.
When you were still
when I was an undergraduate.
Yeah.
And so I've been sort of developing my animation style for 30 years, and I work in a stop motion animation style. So I create artwork and I film it directly under the camera. So I often work with oil paints. Sometimes I work with watercolors and gouache and other things.
But as developing a business as an artist, it's quite a challenge. Both you ladies can attest to that. And how has it been to get into the world of technology? I mean, you're very tech heavy for an artist.
Right, it's true. I remember getting my first computer and being like totally overwhelmed. And I'm not a computer or a technical savvy person. I wasn't. I feel like I am now. It's just I've managed to somehow, I've had good teachers and friends that have helped me along the way. But yeah, you're right. Leimation is a very tech-heavy business. I do the artwork, and then I have a web designer and a software designer, that do the real hard coding and software development. So they're the ones who help to get this like old-fashioned handmade look on in the electronic world.
So in that process of starting a business, a tech-heavy business from the ground up, what's that been like?
It has been challenging. Along the way, you encounter all sorts of challenges, technical challenges. My business relies on email. So I'm creating these Leimations that people can send via email, or they can share via social media. So there's been a lot of struggles because every sort of online world has its own rules.
And they keep changing.
And they keep changing, and then they're different for every, for PC versus Mac. Internet browsers have their own rules. Each of the social media platforms have their own rules. So there's a lot of mysterious things that we have to navigate. But I've been really lucky that we've been able to work through it, and I've had wonderful help.
Lisa, just a little check-in with you about how your life has been affected by technology.
I was thinking back to high school where we had take that computer class where the whole room was the computer, and now we carry it around in our pockets. And I remember thinking, I'll never use technology, but I spend actually a huge part of my time on the computer and trying to figure out social marketing. Because when I started dance schools, I started in the past, you mailed out flyers, to people's homes, to their mailing addresses, and now you have to figure out how to get them to like your Facebook page or see your, I haven't even figured out Twitter yet, but apparently that's one of the next things I've got to figure out, how do you manage all these social marketing tools to build your client base? It's really kind of an interesting thing. And also another thing about technology is in Smarty Dance, one of the things that we do, we're working on a process to build the brain, and technology is changing the brain, and especially in really little kids when they're given a technological device really, really young, before say age 2 or age 5, it is technically changing the way the brain processes information.
How does it do that?
It's a very two-dimensional learning process, so children are not socializing properly. They're not learning to think in 3 dimensions as we do. When you look at a device, your eyes pinpoint on one thing. When we're talking to each other, although I'm looking at Kaui, I'm seeing other things in the room. My eyes are multi-focusing all the time, but when I'm looking at a tablet or device, they're only monofocusing. So it's really changing the way children are perceiving the world. And so one of the things we do at Smarty Dance is talk about putting those devices down and interacting with one another, bringing babies face to face with one another, and toddlers interacting with other toddlers or other grown-ups. It's really kind of an amazing
It's
thing.
very scary, I think, because then you get these babies that grow up and they don't know how to have a conversation.
Right.
They don't understand social cues, and I read also that they don't have like the empathetic capacity.
Exactly,
That
because
people of a different generation have.
You can hurt people on the screen and it's meaningless.
Right.
Unlike taking someone's ball. So technology is really an interesting thing because it's such an awesome tool to have, and it can take art to a whole new level, and at the same time it can be very harmful. So we have to find that way to balance how we use technology, make it a healthy use.
Yeah. I just was thinking about that, the dance that we're all, I hadn't really thought about it because the dance I do is not the kind of, is more freeform or else it's hula, and so that we all 3 had that in common and grew up that. And actually, Laura, you and I took ballet at Holy Nativity.
We did.
In
Do
the
you
gymnasium?
remember being with me in that class?
Yes.
Or do you just remember?
No, I remember you because I always envied your gorgeous hair. You had
Really?
just, yes, those curls. Oh my gosh.
That was so funny. I just remember Mrs. Mackenzie scolding me all the time because I would like flip over on my toes, and she would come over and say, "Stop that, that's very bad for your toes." But I wasn't really into that class.
It turned me off of solo piano music for many
Oh, my
years.
goodness, yes.
Every time I heard that, so solo piano. Oh, stop it. I feel like I have to plie.
Yeah. It's such a rigid format, that style of teaching dance classes. And the teachers used to walk around with the big sticks and threaten to hit you with them and stuff.
I
Times
don't
have
even
changed.
remember. Was it live music? Was it a live
No,
pianist?
she had a reel-to-reel tape recorder.
A reel-to-reel.
A
Oh
reel-to-reel.
my gosh. Wow.
And the Holy
Those were the
Nativity
days.
Gym.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, Laura, let's talk about what you've got for the holidays. What do you
Okay,
got?
I have numerous Leimations for the holidays. And I just want to mention that all of my Leimations come both as e-cards and e-vites. And when people think about sending an e-vite, they just go straight to the free one online that's very easy to use.
Right.
And I just want to say that there's an alternative that you can, send an original hand-painted, very short for short attention spans, e-vite as well as e-card. So I have a handful of fun Christmas type Leimations. And what Leimations are, they're short, they're very short films. They're animated and they have a very a local flavor. So they're not like a Christmas card from the mainland. You can tell that they're a Christmas card about Hawaii.
Yeah, I love how you've integrated them. They're super special, which is why
Thank
I
you.
really wanted you to come today and to show them, because it's so frustrating to want to be sustainable and want to support the community and local artists, and yet there aren't a lot of choices. So I'm really happy you've taken the time to learn the technology and come up with this
That's
thing.
great.
And
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I sort of saw a need for it because there's Jackie Lawson e-cards, which are coming from England, and then there's Jib Jab, which are on the mainland, but they're very they're very comedic. They're just like funny, and I didn't see anything coming from Hawaii that was sort of had a kind of almost a folksy hand painted feel that was about being from Hawaii, being local. So I have a series of Christmas cards. I have a Hanukkah card, and I have a New Year's one, and then I have things for other occasions as well.
yes, you do. You have. I have been really fond of the using them for thank yous, thank you cards, just because I love that plumeria one. That's my
Thank
favorite.
you. Mahalo.
So I think Zuri's ready, and we'll have a look at one. We'll have a look at
great.
one of your Christmas cards.
Hi, I'm Stan, the Energy Man, Stan Osterman, and I'm here to tell you about my show on Friday, every Friday, on my lunch hour, 12 o'clock till 1 o'clock here on Think Tech Hawaii. We talk about everything energy and anything you ever wanted to know about energy. So we're full of energy, and we'll see you here every Friday at noon to 1. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Kaui Lucas. This is Hawaii is My Mainland, and I'm here with two friends for whom Hawaii is also their mainland. They grew up here with me, Laura Margulies and Lisa Kimsey. And just before we went to the break, we saw one of Laura's handmade Leimation animations. And we're gonna talk a little bit about the process.
Okay. They're short films. They're very, very short films. I start by storyboarding. I come up with a concept and I do a storyboard. And then I start sketching it out. And then I'll go to the camera and I have an animation setup. So my process is a stop motion animation. Usually, sometimes I vary it and I'll do a different technique. But I usually paint with oil paints, and I work on a canvas board, and I'll paint an image, and take a picture, and the picture gets stored in my computer. So this is how I'm using technology. I'm using a nice digital camera, but it's being stored on the computer. And then I change the picture slightly, and I take another snapshot until I've created like a whole sequence of movement that's in frames, separate frames.
Okay, let's see a couple more of those holiday cards. My favorite holiday one really is the paddling one, and I told you that there was a little bit of I somehow couldn't get it to work with Facebook, but I hear you've got a new strategy.
Yeah, so my web designer, David Goldberg, is going to attempt to make it more usable with different social media platforms. So it won't even just be Facebook, but hopefully we'll be able to get it onto different social medias in a different way. So hopefully we're going to be working on that over the holiday.
Great.
Yeah.
And back to the process of how it all comes together. You brought something to show us, kind of how that works. You want to let's
Sure.
get that and see how that works. So you don't always do it this way because, as we saw with the one on the beach, you use film too.
Right. So I am at my heart an experimental animator, and I like to keep trying different things. So basically, I do mostly stop motion animation, but sometimes I'll just try and throw in some live action, and sometimes I will animate on paper with watercolors in a very, sort of experimental yet traditional animation style, because Disney was all done on actual frames, but they were done on acetate.
Yeah.
And so I brought in an example of something to show you this is not stop motion, this is traditional animation, because
Okay.
we do the artwork and then bring it to the camera.
Okay, let's see it. Let's
And
see if we can.
this was from the Thanksgiving Leimation that I did, and it was my husband's idea, Lawrence Seward, whose shirt design I'm wearing. But anyway, he had this funny idea about the
Maybe you can
children's.
bring it over closer to the
Yeah,
camera.
it's based on the idea of the children's artwork that they do in school of the turkey for Thanksgiving. And I won't be able to flip all of them, but I'll be able to flip some of them.
Okay. If I hold it, does that make
I'll
it
just,
easier
I'll
for
just
you?
grab a few.
Okay.
Okay. So what animators do is they do their artwork and then they flip them to see if it animates. And I just brought this in because I thought it was fun to show you, the many drawings that it takes to go to make a few seconds of animation. And these are done on watercolor paper, so there's a nice sort of density texture to it.
I was imagining, I thought, well, surely she's not making, hundreds of these things, but actually
Yeah,
you are.
I am.
You are.
There's probably 100 here.
Wow, that's amazing. Very labor
Yeah, so if
intensive.
you think of watching a movie that's about 5 minutes long, you can understand why it takes maybe 3 to 5 years to make.
Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Besides the Evites and e-cards, you have done some filmmaking.
Yes, that's true. So I guess as an animator, I've been an animation teacher, and I've worked for other animators, and I've done freelance work that is commercial, and I've also made personal films. And my background in animation, I studied at NYU with John Canemaker, and he was a big proponent of making your personal film and having your voice expressed through this medium of animation. And so I still try to do that, and I still make personal films. So I have a number of short films that have shown in film festivals and on TV.
And we can see those at lauramargulies.com, I think.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
yeah. It was I learned so much about you there. All kinds of amazing creative projects. And Lisa, let's talk about how in this creative process, your new one, what the genesis of that was, that you
Sure.
were doing something really different for a while. You
I
started
was.
the
Yeah.
movement center in Kaui, and there's now, how old is it?
I think it's 16, 17 years
so
old. Yeah.
almost a generation of,
Right.
of children have
Gone through.
gone through.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember ones that were littles or
They're big now, grown up. Some of them have professional
Graduated,
careers,
have
doing
professional-
dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really awesome. But I left the Movement Center about 5 years ago, and just randomly ended up working on a cruise ship. I worked for Holland America for about 4 years. I was shipboard about 9 months out of the year, and my job was to, I was a port lecturer, so I'd tell people about the places we were going to. I had to tell them about the history, the culture, and the things they could see and do there.
That's neat.
It was an amazing job, but it was a lot of time away from Hawaii. But one of the things I saw on the ships, I typically was doing long cruises, 30-day cruises and 60-day cruises, and most of our guests were in their 70s or older. And I noticed that, the poor mobility and the poor cognitive skills that people had, and even looking, when we would occasionally have guests closer to my age or even younger, just the poor health that people were in. And so when I came home to Hawaii, I was thinking, what I really wanted to do was to work with seniors and to help adults to continue to thrive and to be healthy and to find a way to do that. And I remembered back when I was at the Movement Center learning about brain dance, which is a concept that was created by this woman, Anne Green Gilbert, in Seattle. And she does a 2-week summer workshop every year. And I had wanted to go for years and just never did it. But I decided this summer I would go and learn from her. And it's just the most amazing process. It's one of those things I'm so glad I finally did. And it is a really incredible process for working with seniors, but also for all ages. So we start at 2 months with a caregiver, moving, dancing, working through the process all the way up through seniors. So little kids with caregivers, children and adults independently, people with various abilities and disabilities. It's just a movement system that's accessible for anyone, and it helps to strengthen the brain, strengthen the body, strengthen social interactions. It's just phenomenal.
So how long have you been doing the Smarty dance classes?
I've been just started teaching the classes in August of this year and opened up Smarty Dance in September, so only a few months. But I've been a dance educator for over 25 years. And this is just, when maybe for art it's the same way, you're just kind of looking for that piece. Like I'm a good dance educator, but there's just this piece missing, and this brain dance. And the other thing Anne teaches besides brain dance is brain compatible lesson planning. It's a 5-step lesson planning. And those two pieces combined just make the most incredible learning experience, whether it's in dance or in any discipline. It's just an amazing learning experience, and it's so much fun to do. So you go back to the scary ballet class where everybody had to hold onto the bar and you took your turns, you had to wait and you couldn't dance, and it's just very intimidating and scary. This is the complete opposite. It's everybody dancing at the same time, exploring movement concepts. It's fun, it's interactive. You find a partner and dance together, you find a new partner and dance with someone else, and you're still learning the technique. You're learning dance technique, or if you did it in a school environment, you might be learning math or language arts or something like that. You're building technique, but it's done in just such a fun learning environment, you don't even realize that you're learning.
Can I
Go
ask
ahead.
a question?
Yes, please
Are
do.
you able to bring it into the schools?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, I really would love to. So that would be fabulous. And again, the woman who has created this process and been teaching educators all over the place has taken it into the school systems, and many of the people that have gone through her workshops have done the same. And there actually was a study done in Seattle by Anne where she went into 6 second grade classrooms. At the beginning of the school year, the kids were all tested in language arts. She taught them language arts through the movement process. At the end of the school year, those 6 classes, all their scores had gone up, and all the other scores in the district had gone down for second graders.
Wow.
So there's
Wow,
profound
that's
information.
incredible.
Yeah, we need our kids to be moving.
Oh,
they
yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
learning in a process that applies to all the different ways we learn, seeing, hearing, moving, just all those different
So
ways.
how would you incorporate this? And you talked about language arts. So how does that look? Can you kind of describe that?
Sure. So the 5-part lesson plan starts out with doing the brain dance. So no matter what group you're in, you're going to do the brain dance, which is a series of 8 movements that gets the brain ready to learn, and it integrates all of our reflexes and strengthens our neural pathways. The second part is a concept. So if you're in language arts, your concept might be learning sentence construction or learning about verbs or something like that. So you do that in a physical way. So you would have your concept up on the board so the children can see the words, see the concept. You speak it to them so they hear it. They echo it back to you so they're saying it, and then you move it. You somehow move the concept. So, if it's punctuation, exclamation point, and everybody goes exclamation point. And so they're learning it physically. It's hitting all their ways of learning.
That reminds me of theater taking
Very
theater
much.
classes,
Yes.
drama classes.
Yeah, playing
So
things
much
out.
fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that was how I survived high school.
Oh, so many of us did. If I didn't have dance, I don't think I would have made it through school. So, yeah, so important. And then the next part is building your skills. So you do some exploration of whatever your concept is. Then you build the skills. So that's where in a dance class, you do your pliés and your tendus, or in language arts, you'd work on sentence construction. And then the next part is a creative process. You'd give the children or the students a puzzle to solve. So, you two are going to get together, and you two, and you have to create a haiku or a poem or a paragraph or
Great
something.
idea.
And then
Oh,
they
that's-
share them. So you two share yours, and then the rest of the children or students reflect back to you what they heard, what they saw, how they felt. So there's a reflective process. So it's not just information coming in, but it's information coming in and then being reflected back to you. So
Sounds
it's a
wonderful.
fabulous learning process. It's really amazing.
I actually did get to participate in
Yeah.
one of the early trial classes of Lisa's, and it was super fun. It was tremendous, the thing that was so interesting was that normally when I take dance classes, it's a specific age range. I mean, it's an adult class,
Right.
And but this was moving and relating to a huge age range, from
7 and up. So ages 7 through whatever. There were, as a woman, I think probably in her 70s in the group, and kids as young as 7. And so yeah, and there's moms and kids dancing together, and dads and kids dancing together, and so you have that whole really interesting family dynamic where a child maybe is at first clinging to mom and not wanting to go, and then pretty soon they're dancing with every other person in the class, and who cares if mom is here or not, or they're dancing also with mom. So it's creating relationships that are really important.
That's wonderful. And we don't dance enough in our
No,
community.
you can never
we
dance
don't.
enough.
That is definitely for me the most fun way to exercise, and so I'm always looking for opportunities where I don't have to think too much, though.
Right.
Right, sometimes it's too hard.
Relax.
But I think especially as adults, it's a challenge for adults to go back to dance if they've been away from it or if they never did it as a child. It's a very intimidating thing, and I think that this class is very accessible. Because when you're studying a movement concept, there's not a right way to do it. There's big and small, but the way I do big is different than the way you do and the way you do, and they're all correct. They're all appropriate.
So we're going to take another little break, and when we come back, we'll show the video of your Smarty dance class. And I did see, yes, that is me. That is me.
Yeah, she's in there.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on Think Tech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on Think Tech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you center stage.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brain and the challenge of the brain.
As you get older, it's really hard to remember
It is
movement.
hard. But that's one of the things Smarty Dance does too, is it helps to strengthen the brain. So it helps the brain to stay plastic longer.
Yeah, well, you need to
Yeah,
keep trying
keep it working.
to remember
Yeah.
things.
Okay, let's have a look at this. What are we doing? Yay!
Yeah, fun. I saw you in a couple of those slides.
It was a really good time. But some people are probably wondering why you're here, and I'm saying it's about the holidays. But
Well, yeah.
there's
So,
a reason.
There is a reason. So it's, well, specific about the holidays. We're going to be doing a couple of Smarty Dance tap classes coming up in December. So we're calling it Tappy Holidays. And it's a combination of your traditional tap dance class and a little bit of Smarty Dance thrown in to just create the flow for the class. So we'll start out with a quick brain dance. We'll do a little movement concept exploration with our tap shoes on, and then we'll do a regular tap warm-up and tap class, choreography given, and then the students also get to do a little bit of creating as well. And it's really fun. We did one for Thanksgiving, Tap Off the Turkey, and it was absolutely a blast.
So do you have to know what you're doing with
It would
the
help
help?
for these to have had at least dance experience and preferably some tap experience.
Okay.
So, and Karen Yee is going to partner with me in these classes, and she's well known in the island. She's won a couple of Pocatello Awards for her tap choreography at Diamond Head Theater.
Oh, look at those red tap shoes.
Are those
I
gorgeous?
want!
I know, right? No boring black tap shoes for us, right? So yeah, a lot of fun, December 21st to 28th at the Movement Center. So, yeah, good fun.
And also, you have another way to participate for the holidays is I think I saw on your website that you had some kind of gift certificates or something like
We
that?
do, yes. So we sell gift certificates. You can purchase those, give them as a gift. Nothing better than the gift of dance and learning
Yeah.
for people out there in the community, people that you love and care about. So yes, you can purchase those through the website. We have classes starting in January at Diamond Head Theater, and they also have gift certificates. Diamond Head does, so you can.
Diamond Head Theater.
Yeah.
The Movement Center, and
Correct.
you're teaching in some other places around town, aren't you?
Yeah, trying to find a lot of different venues to teach in. So I'm teaching in some preschools around town. Pohainani is going to offer some classes for the residents there. It's trying to get into some senior centers, hoping to increase that. I'm going to be teaching at Aloha Dance Sports Center on Ward, right by Sports Authority. So trying to find a number of different venues to make it accessible to people. I'll come to you. I will actually literally come to you. If you get 5 friends together to put together a class, I will come and teach the class either in your home or in a park, or we can rent a studio or something like
Wow,
that.
that's fabulous.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So get your friends together, instead of a Tupperware party, we have a Smarty dance party.
That is such a good idea. I can imagine that for if I had a toddler, a birthday party.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Way better than Chuck E. Cheese.
Absolutely, right? So it's really fun. Nothing wrong with Chuck E. Cheese, right? No, I saw also on the video it had mentioned intermediate through advanced, but we start, as I said, at age 2 months, so clearly not intermediate or advanced. And it's accessible for everyone. So I did a class recently for the Brain Injury Association support group, and it just was a phenomenal experience. About half the group there were individuals living with brain injuries, and the other half were caregivers of those people, and they just had a really great time. So this is something that's accessible to anyone and healthful for anyone, no matter what's going on with them physically, mentally. This is just going to make life a better, happier place.
Yeah. So Laura was saying that she might don some tap shoes again.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've never donned tap shoes,
Oh,
so this would be a
oh.
new experience.
experience.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome. Breaking new
for
ground.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really would challenge my brain.
Yeah.
So, and the best way to get a hold of your work, Laura, is?
Leimation.com.
Okay.
Yes. And I wanted to mention that we have gift certificates too.
Yay.
Yay.
So that would be a nice thing if you want to give a gift of Leimations for the subscriptions, which is what we have the gift certificate for, are for 1 year. And they cover pretty much everything on the website.
Yeah, that is actually an awesome gift. It's very reasonably priced, and you get to pick your whatever card you want for whatever comes up all year. And I feel so much better giving that business to a local business. And they're creative, and they really feel Hawaii. I mean, even the ones that aren't themed about Hawaii, they do really feel.
Thank you. That's what
Yeah,
I'm going
very
for.
local,
I'm
yeah.
trying to give a local flavor. I use much of the music is created by local artists, musicians. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. And yeah, it should have a nice feeling of aloha to it. When you send it off, you're sending a piece of aloha
Yeah.
to whoever.
I was thinking I might experiment with I haven't done the ones yet where you put your the photos,
Overlay.
the overlay. Yeah.
I have 2 overlays, I think.
2 overlays.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then you have some other interesting projects that you're involved in.
Right. Yeah.
One of them I just found out about from you yesterday, and I'm so intrigued. Would you talk about that?
Sure.
Pacific
Survivors.
Survivor Center. Thank
Yeah.
you. My cheat sheet. I got to go to Smarty dance.
Come to Smarty Dance. We'll work on that.
I'm really lucky and happy to be working on a short film for a nonprofit called the Pacific Survivor Center. And it's run by a doctor in town, Nicole Littenberg. And so we've gotten some funding from grants, and we're making a short film about human trafficking here in Hawaii.
Wow.
And when people hear of human trafficking, they don't think about it happening here. But it does happen here, and so we're trying to make a short animated film, under 10 minutes, that will elucidate sort of the problem and hopefully reach vulnerable young people, and maybe make them aware of the situation so that they can avoid it.
How did they find you? Do you know?
The Pacific Survivor Center?
Yeah.
Well, I've known Nicole for a while.
Okay.
So when she got the idea to make an animated film, I think she just thought of me,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah. Really.
Great cause.
It's
Yeah.
an amazing cause, and you're right, we don't think about it. I've heard of, you know, the odd story here and there, but in general, the awareness around that is not where it needs to be, but especially what to do to prevent it. I mean,
Right.
and using art,
Yes.
animation, is probably a safer way to talk about a subject that's
Yes.
that difficult.
That's right, and I'm using real voices. So we've been interviewing survivors of human
Wow.
trafficking.
How fabulous.
Yeah, and where it's been difficult right now, I'm still trying to get the sound edit down to a nice size.
Right.
But we've got some great stories, personal stories from survivors.
And what is the age range of those survivors?
Well, they are speaking to us from, age 18 up to maybe 60. Those are the people we've been interviewing are that in that age range, but their experiences go back to when they were about 13. Well, actually their whole lives. I mean, if
Wow.
they've been subjects, of abuse and things.
And I have to say, I know such amazing, cool people. I mean, you're both attacking problems that are systemic. I mean, the health thing and being creative and how to make it work in Hawaii and bringing the community together and how do we heal. Wow. Yay. Yay.
It is a yay. And it's what I think our world really needs right now. And I can't help but dance. You probably can't help but make art.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find a way to do that that's meaningful for the community is really a blessing. I feel really honored that I get to do this work. It's really amazing. And what I get back from it is really healing as well.
I think that when you grow up here and you are fortunate enough to live here still or again, as in all of our cases, that you realize how in some ways fragile our social networks are, or how important they are actually to the overall quality of life. And we've all spent the majority of I think that's true, the majority of our lives here, or close to it.
I was away for 20 years.
Oh, 20 years, okay, so, but a lot of it. And when we are here and we're all back in the neighborhoods that we were nurtured in and germinated in,
Yeah.
there's a preciousness about that. As I was on my morning walk and thinking about getting to see you two this afternoon in our neighborhood, I just felt incredibly grateful that we have this opportunity and to be able to strengthen each other's efforts in this way is a really, it's a great way to celebrate the holidays.
Absolutely.
I agree, yes.
I agree too. Yeah.
So, thank you both.
Thank you.
And any parting words?
Dance. It's fun. Make art. Do something creative.
Okay.
Have a creative holiday.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll end with my favorite one of your Leimations, Laura.